It's your boy Concert Viz 34 Matthews Band. Thank you guys who have been watching all these other videos. Thank you for liking, comment, subscribing. Thank you for those on Twitter at Concert Viz 34 that have been checking out some of my posts. We are going to talk about the shows in this last 7 day period, starting with Charlotte, going to the Florida shows. But I started off this week. The Charlotte show was awesome. And I started off the week questioning kind of the band really gave Virginia kind of two standard cookie cutter sets. That's not to say the energy wasn't there, but a question I posed and I sent out something to Ants Marching on Twitter, and just everyone who all 10 or 15 people that care about me on Twitter. But thank you guys. I posed a question: does the band are they telling people not to go to Virginia shows? The shows in Virginia were pretty standard. And the reason I asked that question is because we start off with Charlotte, and Charlotte is an amazing show as far as some of the videos people were posting, just the set in general. And the North Carolina shows, Raleigh and Charlotte, they sandwiched the Virginia show, and the Virginia show was the most standard or basic set list of those shows. So I start off the week thinking, man, Virginia got hosed this year as far as this type of songs and the variety of songs, and as far as that they got. And I talked about last time on this little weekly segment I do about how there wasn't really an it factor song in the set list for the Virginia Beach show. And some of those it factor songs were in Charlotte. We had Big Eyed Fish, we had Lion Out Graves, we had Typical Situation, we had Sledgehammer, it's a cover, but it's a dope cover, and we had Pig. Those are songs that just that song being picked alone in a set list, they changed the feeling of that show. You go back to the new stuff after that, whatever, it doesn't matter. Those are game changers. We didn't get that in Virginia, but we get it in Charlotte. And Charlotte was a really, really dope show to get all those songs in one show. And just, again, the energy people are talking about. Mr. Buddy Strong doing his thing to help this band have a unique sound for this year. Then we go to Tampa, and Tampa has what I think is cool. I like to see when there is songs or a single song played at a venue that's been around for a bit, and it's the first time we've heard this older song at the venue. Now, Tampa had two different songs like this: Grace is Gone and Fool to Think. These are songs from the 2000s, the early to mid 2000s, that have been around for a while and for the first time ever were played in Tampa. So I think that's a cool little stat when you see a one of one for the venue, but it's a song that's been around for just for at least over 10 years. But Tampa, you have a Fool to Think, a Warehouse, and a Seek Up. Those are the game changer songs. Although Warehouse by itself, it depends on the show. But Fool to Think and Seek Up, if you get one of those, again, it changes everything to me of how a show is remembered, how you think of it, how great it is. All it takes is one song. And I'm not saying that the cookie cutter songs or the standard songs they play aren't great. I love 41. Don't Drink the Water. I've already shared my feelings on that, but it's a song that really can pump up a crowd. So there's nothing wrong with those songs, but you want to have at least that one game breaker. And then we get into West Palm Beach, and here we go, folks. We get the first fish tender since 2013. That's the Big Eye Fish and the bartender segue completely. Now, when I was in SPAC, we got both, but they were spread out through the set. But nope, we go, Big Eye Fish starts to end, and you hear the beginning of bartender, and everyone gets happy on the crowd. And this was on Sirius XM. Shout out to Sirius XM for extending the Dave Matthews Band radio. Talked about that yesterday. Check out that video. But we get a fish tender, and not only that's just where it begins. We then also get Mr. Buddy Strong with chariots of fire interpolation. But even before that interpolation, he is ending bartender. You know, the penny whistle comes out. You know, it always brings me back to Roy. And but we still get after that. There's more. Mr. Buddy Strong brings the earth, wind, and fire to the outro. I mean, he just starts jamming out. The band is jamming out because they're getting turned up because of what Mr. Buddy Strong is bringing out. And it's just a great ending to Bartender. I mean, shout out to Buddy Strong. He got on those keys, and it reminds me, this is what this reminds me of. If anyone has ever been in, I don't want to say a black church, you ever been to a Baptist church, okay? If you've ever been to a Baptist church, what, you know, I'm non-denominational, but we're Baptist still. I go to a church here in Connecticut, and there's just a feeling that you feel in the environment at a church, a Baptist church, and all of a sudden, you know, they're ending a song, and one lady shouts, you know, Sister Johnson starts shouting, and everyone else starts shouting, and then all of a sudden, the keys in the organ just starts getting turned up, and all of a sudden, there's this music being played aggressively for about 5 minutes. That is exactly what Mr. Buddy Strong brought to Bartender. He starts jamming out. Everyone else starts jamming out. The energy of the crowd is up. And those are moments that you can hear a song 1,000 times. But I will remember hearing this on my SiriusXM app through my speakers just to the right of me over here. And just singing, yo, this is dope, man. This is what we need for this version of the band. We need these praise breakdowns like I get at my church every now and then into the band for this year. We'll see what happens next year, but this is what Buddy Strong is bringing, these extra elements to the band that I really like. And then, you know, for this is West Palm Beach night 1. We get a Lying in the Hands of God. We get a Typical Situation. We get a So Right. I love the ending of So Right. It's a great moment in any show when you get that ending of Show Right and the bah, 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 and it just keeps going. So West Palm Beach night 1, really dope. And then West Palm Beach night 2, we see a couple things here, and we're going to talk about these. But let's first talk about, we have certain songs that are being repeated from the previous show. And I believe it was either Can't Stop or Again and Again, night 1 of West Palm Beach, that Dave says, I told Carter something about, we want to play this again. Or I want to play it again. It's so good, I want to play it again. And I think it was either Again and Again or Can't Stop. But they do play both of these for the second consecutive night. And then we get Come Tomorrow for a second consecutive night. That's 3 songs that are played in night 2 that were played in night 1. Now, this can be controversial because while this happened in the band's earlier history, this is a different era where you have a lot more songs, and most times, 99% of the time, you're not going to get the same song twice. There are exceptions, and I believe at Hartford 2012, I went to night 1. It's my first show ever, and they played, I think it was Sweet both nights, or Gouch, I don't know, Mercy, one of those songs. They played them both nights. And then you had it with Samurai Cop, which we'll talk about in a second. That's been played multiple nights. But it is controversial because people go to the 2-night stands to get 2 different nights of different music as far as in 2018. That's what they look for. So controversial, but you know what? If you're going to play a song twice, I love Again and Again, which used to be Bob Law. I love Can't Stop. I don't know about other people. But as far as the new material, as far as the new album, I love how they've revamped Can't Stop for this album and for the touring. And then Come Tomorrow, you know, I think when you look at what happened just south of West Palm Beach in Parkland, Florida, which is just north of Miami and Broward County, I think that's a big part of it because the song represents that, you know what, the youth have it. We screwed up as adults, but the youth, they can make the changes that we won't be able to make. And shout out to the band. They had branding from Marion Stoneman Douglas High School, just like Dead and Company. I talked about that a couple months ago. I think it's awesome that they are saying, you know what, we stand with these kids. They didn't get really political and that's fine. But I think any support for these kids anywhere in the country, they did this in Texas when there was, I think that was El Paso, which was still a ways away from Houston and Dallas, but they did that. I think it's dope that you got to show support to victims. I don't care what your political stance is. I don't care what you think about guns, but we have to support these victims. We have to show love, and I think it was awesome that they did that. People in the audience, some of these people lost a loved one. They knew someone who passed away. There were different tweets from people who said, hey, I lost someone, or hey, I knew someone that was in this. My kid was at this school. They were survivors. On DMB Family, someone mentioned that as well. So I think it's beautiful that, hey, you're gonna repeat a song twice. This is a moment that I can understand that. So again, a little bit of controversy. Now the other thing here, and I want to shout out to the West Palm Beach Police. We did catch Samurai Cop. For the last week, Samurai Cop has been on the loose. It has not been played since it was last seen in Virginia Beach. And shout out to the West Palm Beach Police because they apprehended Samurai Cop on stage. They found there was a fan pointed out, hey, I'm at the rail. I see the set list right here. I think I see Samurai. And as soon as the U2 like reverb resonated in the entire venue for the first couple of notes, the police arrested Samurai Cop, because they did flee custody from DMB last week. And we finally get a Samurai Cop for the first time since last Saturday. So it was a Saturday to Saturday, gap here where there was no Samurai Cop, which is interesting because there's been about 31 to 32 plays of this song for the summer. So it's been the most played song. It's been played heavily. It's been played in some of these two night stands twice. So here we go. We get Samurai Cop. Another thing about West Palm Beach Night 2, we have Nancy's and Captain. I love that. And the Nancy's and Warehouse combination also. When they do them back to back, like the fish tender, just something that, the band has established as a special moment whenever they do them together. So nice to get those. Let's see. The other thing that I want to talk about is there's been some controversy and some debate, not on a large scale, but on a small scale, about how they're starting a lot of these sets off, as far as shows off, with Come Tomorrow songs, with an easier, simpler song, not a C cup, not a stone, not something epic to start off. Going to 3 shows this year, 3 different states, 3 different venues, I think this is a good thing. I like this. First off, you get a new song up there, out of the way. Second off, security at some of these shows has been very difficult, even in the last 5 years. We've had events like the Boston Marathon bombings. We've had shootings in workplaces and schools that have raised alerts for venues. We've had the tragedy in Las Vegas as well at MGM. And those have led to security, taking different measures that are slowing down lines. So for artists like DMB, you have a lot of these fans that are rushing the gates at 8 o'clock. And it can take up till 8:20, 8:30 to get in. So if they start off with Again and Again, if they start off with the Come Tomorrow or with the That Girl Is You, you get a song that, it's cool to hear, but it's not, oh man, I missed the Stone. I missed Seek Up. I missed this other epic song. They're putting those songs a little further down in the set list. And I think that's a good thing because you let the crowd come in, the band gets started so they can not have to worry about curfews, and everyone's happy. Happened with SPAC, with JTR, happened with pretty much every show. You're not getting a Stone or a Seek Up or something until the second song, third, fourth, fifth song. And I think it's a good strategy to move forward to do this because the shows need to start on time, and they are. I appreciate DMB because some of these other guys who have no opener, some of these other gals who have no opener, man, they're getting on stage at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and they're like, come on, man, hurry up. Just get on stage so we can get out, we can get in traffic and get home at a reasonable time. So I think that's a good thing. And then another thing I want to talk about is this whole, we're getting these 3 night type deals. We got this with Chicago, Milwaukee for Summerfest, getting that Sunday show. We got it for SPAC, and then I believe that was Montreal or Quebec. Or I know Montreal's in Quebec province, but the show, no, because Ottawa was the War Memorial. I think it was the show in Montreal. Or no, Quebec. No, it's Quebec, Plains of Abraham. But we had that, and now we have, coming up tonight, we have a third show in a row. We have West Palm Beach, and then Orange Beach is rescheduled for tonight. I think that these 3 night stands impact what you're going to get from a night 2 of a West Palm Beach, a night 2 of a Chicago, a night 2 of a SPAC. Not in the regular set, but the encore. They do PMP Rapunzel to end West Palm Beach night 2. Love it. I love Rapunzel. I love PMP for all 15 seconds. But I really think that because the band knows they have to play the next day, they're not going to play a Halloween. For SPAC, they played two-step, but they didn't do a two-step into Halloween. They didn't do a double encore like they do typically at SPAC. And I think a lot of that has to do with, again, they have to play the next night. So I hope that if, with touring next year, that the band does have these 2 night stands, literally stand alone. Because we saw what happened at Deer Creek. They got a heck of a 2 nights, and they finished with that two-step. They left everything on the floor, everything on the field, as the sports coaches will say. And they just still did that with SPAC. But again, they didn't have a double encore at SPAC. They didn't have a Halloween or something crazier for the encore. They had a two-step, which was rare for this tour, but it's not overall a rare song. So we'll have to see what happens next year. But, I mean, the Orange Beach thing today wasn't planned. But I think it impacts you. Hey, let's just get out of here, PNP Rapunzel, go down the Gulf Coast, and do our next show. Then we're off for a month. And we'll see what happens with this show tonight. Do they have a cookie cutter set? Do they have something crazy because they have a month off? I don't know. I'm leaning more towards it's going to be a cookie cutter set. I hope I'm wrong. There's nothing wrong with a cookie cutter set because this band is killing it this year. They are killing it this year with the energy, with the on-point solos, with everything being precise. They're doing their thing. And then the last thing I'll talk about today is people want more Away from the World. People are complaining about it. Not many people. There's not many people saying, "Oh, I'm chasing If Only to come. I want the If Only tour debut." All right. There's not many people saying, "Oh, I need a Mercy." I know some people like it because of the sentiments, but I think the song is not as well written as the other songs in that light for DMB. Anyway, Away from the World. It's okay if it's away from the world because we have a touring album as far as Come Tomorrow, and I want the oldies to come in. Away from the World will probably be out in the Gorge, and you'll get it there. Go to the Gorge. You want Away from the World? Go to the Gorge. It'll be there. They'll probably play at least one song. But I like how that album is taking a break. I like how Big Whiskey is being reduced just by a little bit, just by a half of a song per show or a song per show, on my guess. Because again, I want to hear the classics, and I want to let the new album resonate with fans who haven't heard the new album. Another thing, speaking of that, we'll also talk about next week. I will, or this upcoming week, I want to make a video about how much of the fan base is passive. Hardcore fans tend to think that, hey, everything is about us. We make the band rich. No, you don't. Shut up. You don't. And I'm a hardcore fan myself, even though I've only been a fan since 2012 of touring. I've been a fan since the mid-2000s of DMB, but I've been hardcore into the touring and listening to every second of the band since 2012. We don't pay the bills. We buy a lot of the nice seats, but most of the fans are passive fans. Many of them have not heard the new album. They know the classic DMB songs. They've been to 10 to 15 years of shows. As far as every year, they go to the venue, but they're not engaged in the band when they're not at their venue. But if they're there, they know the songs. They know So Much to Say. They know Say Goodbye. They know 41. They know Recently. They know a lot of songs that are classics, but they are not actively like, oh, I can't wait for the new album to come out. They're just digesting Come Tomorrow when the band comes to their city. So I'll talk about that because it's an interesting topic. We don't have shows to really talk about next week except Orange Beach. So I will talk a lot about that sometime in this upcoming week slash weekend, maybe at the latest next Sunday. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. It's your boy ConcertViz34, and I'm out.